Plant-based cuisine is evolving beyond salads and smoothies. Chefs around the world are redefining what it means to cook with whole plant-based ingredients. How are they creating dishes that are as delicious as they are nutritious? What innovations are shaping the future of plant-based dining? As part of this series, I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing Chef Pete Ghione. Chef Pete has 31 years of experience creating artistic food made up of purposeful ingredients designed to please and improve one's health. Chef Pete is also a philanthropist and is deeply involved as a volunteer with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. His goal is to use food and medicine to eliminate disease. Chef Pete, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Can you back up a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your story, how you became a chef.
Oh, sure. So I grew up in Shelton, Connecticut, and back in 1994, 95, my first job when I was 15 years old, I was working for an off-premise caterer. And we had this kitchen in the basement of a restaurant, and it was about as sweaty, steamy, and hot as you can imagine. And we did a lot of picnics during the summertime. And if you know anything about New England, it's like a staple at every meal has got to be New England clam chowder. So my first experience was cleaning off trucks that had been sitting there in the summertime for like 4 or 5 days with really spoiled clam chowder. And I was dumping into dumpsters and scrubbing out the pots. It was like I should have ran. I really should have ran. It was like the biggest red flag, but I got to work hard and I loved it. And I applied for another job and I got hired at a Ramada Plaza Hotel, 150 rooms. And the chef there was more classically trained, and he went through an apprenticeship, and he was really inspiration to me because I started to wash dishes and then ask him, "Hey chef, what else can I do? Hey chef, what else can I do? Yeah, peel these carrots, peel these onions. Hey, make a fruit tray for me. Hey, here's how you carve a watermelon. Hey, I'm gonna do an ice carving out back. Why don't you come help me? I need help with the banquet plate up." And I would just start just took on everything, and then I would try and do it as he did, and I would practice and pick up my accuracy, my speed, and be more efficient. And he just kept feeding me more and more. But he convinced me to go to culinary school. So I did. I went to New England Culinary School. I was actually accepted the summer before my senior year of high school. And I had two jobs by that time. I was working in an Italian Portuguese privately owned restaurant, plus the Ramada Hotel. And I remember working over 60 hours a week in high school. I was working a ton. And one of those memories is I think back my biology teacher came walking up to me. He's like, "Why isn't your homework done?" And not trying to be, sarcastic or anything, but the only answer was I said, "I worked more hours this week than you did." And then he just kind of turned around and walked away. But I've been committed to the artistic side, to the hardworking side. I mean, if you love to work and be married to your business, I mean, the food business and the culinary side of things is a way to get involved and express yourself. And then I fell into, cooking with organic ingredients, and then I was asked by a guy with lung cancer 3 times to change his diet and to cook for him. And
It
and
was
then
terminal, it was terminal lung cancer, wasn't it?
absolutely, yeah. So I met him 2 weeks after his third surgery. So he was found taking a picture of his heart. They found some tumors on his right lung, so he had surgery plus 6 months of chemo. And then it came back on his left lung about 7 months to a year after the first one. And he swore he was never doing chemo again. So he had surgery on the left lung to remove the tumors. And then, of course, it had to come back on the right lung. So I met him November 2009. He had already told me that the doctors had told him that he had a 2% chance to live past 2012. And he asked me to cook for him. So imagine walking into somebody's home. You know organic ingredients, but then you got to research like foods that are anti-inflammatories and which ones have the most cancer-fighting properties. And I was literally cooking for 3 years like someone's life depended on me. And it was a lot of pressure. But I tell you what, this guy kept going back to the doctors at the Mayo Clinic every 6 months. And he comes back like, "I can't believe this. Look at my blood work. It's better than I've ever been." He's like, "Every time I go, I'm older than I've ever been, and these are better results." So I left that private chef business in 2012. And as we're talking today, that guy's cancer's never come back. And
So
the only thing that he did was change.
2025,
Yep.
16 years later,
Yep.
and the guy who had a 2% chance of living past 2012 is still alive.
He beat it. And he swear the only thing I did was change my diet. And that's, that's just one of many stories. And it's the most rewarding thing. I've had great jobs. I've been on the Food Network. I've done a lot of cool things, but the thing that hits home is what I've done for other people and help them stay alive. It's the most rewarding feeling ever. So yeah, winning a prize on the Food Network is great, but it lasts for that moment. And then what? Once you spend the money, it's gone. But when these people are walking their grandchild down the aisle, when they see them graduate college, and they have all these life events, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. I feel the same way about food. Food changing the way I eat changed my life. That in conjunction with walking, that totally changed my life. And I've seen other people where I've talked to them about food and it makes a tremendous difference. And unfortunately, most medical schools spend very little time talking about nutrition.
True. Yeah.
And
And most of their revenue, or a pharmaceutical company, their revenue is coming by through a drug that they could patent. And nobody's going to pay for the studies to see how effective food is on a mass scale to get enough evidence to be approved by the FDA, because you can't patent a blueberry. You can't patent garlic and onions and cabbages that are the most anti-inflammatory ingredients on the market. Those things are grown by nature, and it's those things were actually created by something that is a much bigger person than us, right? It was men are on the earth, men and women are on the earth, humans are on the earth. We need nutrition, and it's provided by nature. Flat out, it is all available outside our doors. And and we have that as a resource. So there is healing things out there. And if you believe in it and you want to try it, you'll see amazing results.
so I guess the question that comes to mind is when people talk with you, okay, I would imagine there's two kinds of people who talk with you, or three. There's the ones who are very sick, like that guy was. He says, I'll try anything. Just cook for me, I'll try it. No argument from him. Then
Right.
then you got the ones who are a little bit sick. Well, maybe I'll try it, maybe I don't want to try it. I'm not sure if I should try it, whatever, whatever. And then you got the ones that I don't want it at all.
Hmm.
So one of the things I always say, and I know from talking to you earlier, you believe this also, you got to meet people where they're at.
You do.
You can't just come in and say, this is what you got to do it.
Hmm.
And one of the problems with a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet. First of all, would you define what a whole food plant-based diet is to you, what it means?
Yes, there's a lot of things that could be over manufactured, and there's a lot of steps in the process. But when you're taking food out of the garden and you cook it and you put it on your plate, I mean that is whole food plant-based diet, right? So that's in very simple forms, simple format. It comes out of the earth. We wash it, we cook it, we enjoy it, and that's a whole food plant-based diet. Of course, that comes in different forms, and it goes through a manufacturing process so that there's more people on that chain to make more profit off of it. But and then you get some pretty wacky stuff when you get into impossible meats and that sort of thing too. Is just it's a science experiment. It's
I'm
made in the
I'm
lab.
I'm
It's
not a
not made in
fan.
the kitchen.
I'm not a fan of
Right?
those products.
Yeah,
Starting with the sodium count.
big deal. And saturated fat is sky high in that product.
Yes, that's how they make it taste like that. Whereas I can make my own black bean burgers
Yeah.
that are much healthier.
Yeah.
Or
There's an
taste,
easier, softer way out there.
yeah, there is. So when people hear that, they think it's restrictive.
Very.
And I tell people the way I eat, I tell people the way I used to eat and the way I eat now. And just so you know, people listening, I eat a whole food plant-based diet. And I've been doing it for over 6 years. And before that, for 6 years, I was vegetarian, which just meant I would eat cheese and dairy. Um, I believe that I didn't give up anything. I gained so much. I mean, my health, I am so much healthier. I mean, I'm going to be 66 and I feel like I'm 35, except I wasn't this healthy when I was 35.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, it is crazy. And, and everybody I know my age, they talk about getting older, getting older, getting older. And I go, why don't we get younger?
Yeah,
It's possible. But the problem is when people hear this, they go, oh, you gave up this and you gave up that. Well, I gained everything.
right.
But even me, as gung ho as I am on this stuff, I did it gradually.
Hmm.
I didn't, 16 years ago when I started this journey, a little over 16 years ago, I didn't just all of a sudden say, I'm stopping all these things. First it was first thing it was diet sodas. And then it was giving up alcohol, which, and those types of things, and on and on and on and on. It was a gradual process, and that's okay. And
Absolutely.
and even if I would have stopped halfway in the process, I I might have stopped when I was 180 pounds instead of the 145 pounds I am today. While I'm glad I'm the 145 pounds I am today, even if I was 180, that's so much better than the 320 I was when I started.
For sure. Hmm.
I would have been healthier. I would have been better. So
Yeah,
the point is, gradual is okay. Take it a bit at a time. See what you think. See how you feel. Make your own decisions. Do
right.
what works for you. Do you agree with that philosophy?
I do. And there's got to be encouragement to build this positive relationship with food. And it's not a restrictive mindset. This is an abundance mindset because all the fruits and vegetables that are out there, you can have an abundant amount and you're going to get more benefits than you are negative effects. So that stuff is really incredible. And it starts with understanding that you could add more to your diet. It's time to change diet. Okay, great. Let's add more. Let's start with, half of your plate at dinner time is vegetables, and you still have your red meats and your carbohydrates there. And then maybe you're adding one plant-based meal a week. And then you're adding maybe more of a fruit smoothie. Maybe you have an acai bowl for breakfast. And you're adding a little bit of tofu for protein, but all these other vegetables and berries and fruits are just really covering up anything that you think would taste bad. But that it really starts with having that great relationship with food and understanding that it's all positive and not worry about this restrictive mindset that's going to hold you back from improving your health.
I wished I had a picture of what I eat for breakfast
Yeah.
every day. After I go for my morning walk, I come in, I eat a big bowl. I start the base is homemade soy yogurt because I know I don't want dairy. I make my own yogurt. No salt added, so I know what's in it. But I add chia seed, hemp seed, flax seed, sesame seed to it, which thickens it up, makes it really tasty. Um, then I add blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, bananas, pomegranate seeds. Put all that in there and stir that all up. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's bright, it's colorful, it's happy food.
Yeah, it's so good. I got one of my neighbors down the street. She's doing it now. I
Yeah.
taught her how to make the yogurt, and she's eating that, and
Yeah.
she loves it. And she loves it.
Yeah.
Um, it and I never ate any. I never had any breakfast that tasted as good as that.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, whether you're plant-based, vegan, or carnivore, your body needs about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, I should say. So if you're 100 pounds, you need to consume 100 grams of protein a day, right? And um, breakfast for the standard American diet, right? The standard American diet, the SAD diet, stands for SAD, right? So there's so many carbohydrates and there's such a lack of protein that is one of our biggest opportunities to increase our protein. And that, of course, is going to aid in muscle development and recovery. For someone like you that's walking 15 miles a day, for sure, you got to rebuild your muscle tissues and help build that. It helps your organs and leads to great brain function and everything too. But on the other side too, increasing your protein at breakfast helps to reduce the absorption of carbohydrates. It creates that low, slow energy build throughout the day too, and And that's one thing that I think that it's a great opportunity to increase protein. And when everybody's thinking about a plant-based diet, what's the first question that you get? Where do you get your protein?
Hmm.
So there's a list of ingredients that have all nine essential amino acids, and we're talking, soy has a lot of that as well. Chickpeas, like lentils, like all these things that could be cooked into very, very delicious. And then it's like, people that have doubts about that is you look at an elephant, you look at a hippopotamus, like these things are enormous and they're only eating plants.
Yes, it's you talk about lentils and chickpeas, and then you know what I've started doing? I sprout them,
Yeah,
and you eat them, so they're not cooked. They're raw. They're sprouted. The bioavailability of the nutrients goes way up through the roof. It's fantastic. And that breakfast that I described with the soy yogurt and the fruit all on top of it and everything, I guarantee you that has more protein than a steak. That type of thing. And it's true. I mean, what was it? One of the world's strongest man said he wanted to be strong as an ox. So he said,
yeah,
what does an ox eat?
plants.
Yeah. I mean, the difference is when you're eating plants, you're eliminating the middleman,
Yeah,
which is the animal.
right,
Is all it is. But part of the resistance is we're not taught this as children. I mean, I certainly wasn't taught this. Plus, there's no money in broccoli, uh,
right.
or onions or anything else. There's no money to be made. But my thoughts are too bad. I think that we as individuals, if we arm ourselves with the information, we can make our own choices. And who cares whether pharmaceutical companies like it? Who cares
Yeah.
whether, the hamburger companies like it or anything? I don't care. I'm going to do what works for me. Um, that's the way I look at that. So you're a chef for Canyon Ranch, correct?
Correct. I'm the
Uh,
corporate chef for Culinary Ranch.
okay. Um, Canyon Ranch is a world famous resort spa, originated in Tucson, Arizona. I'm in Scott,
1970.
yeah, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the first time I went there was like 1989.
Okay.
And I've been there many times since then. I've had speaking engagements down there. It's a fantastic place. And they have this thing called the Life Enhancement Center. They have undoubtedly changed countless lives for the better.
For
No,
sure. It's
no,
amazing.
no doubt about it. And so, but you're running their operations in Nevada, correct?
No, I
Nevada.
run for all the properties. So right now we have Las Vegas is the world's the largest day spa in North America. It's 132,000 square feet. We have three restaurants there currently. Then
Hmm.
we have Woodside, California, which is a beautiful retreat out in the redwood forest with 24 treehouse rooms, which overlook the forest. We don't even have window treatments out there. It's just gorgeous way to wake up in the morning. And we have Lenox, Massachusetts, which actually opened in 1989. So during your first experience in Tucson, and of course Tucson, which opened back in 79. So that's 46 years old at this point. So yeah, so I work with dietitians with the PhD in nutrition, and we talk strategy. We look at the latest research that's out there, and we base our decisions on facts of what we find with science. And it's actually I want to say it's hard to say that anything is medical fact. It's the best medical information we have right now because we know that things change constantly. Every couple of years, there's new information, there's new research, and we evolve with that. And so people that have been coming, such as yourself, over the years, you see that we definitely evolve. We have great nutrition standards that we stick to, and we figure out what 75% of the Americans need in their diet, and we meet them there with those numbers. So we do all the calorie counting and the carbohydrates and saturated fats and all that stuff. We count all that stuff, so all you have to do is enjoy it. Because the last thing we want you to do is go there and start counting calories and getting stressed out. And again, that goes back to the relationship with food, right? Then you're having this stressful relationship with food, And but we've done that research and we have that provided for our guests. And so it is a transformational experience.
How do you make food that people will eat? I mean, you sort of just described that, but
Yeah, it's as chefs, it's it takes experience over time to develop your own style and express your own creativity, of course, but understanding flavors and marrying flavors and presentations, and I really try to avoid creating food that is like tastes like medicine kind of thing, right? So we're not just serving seared tofu that has no seasoning and no marinades or nothing else, and I'm putting it on top with some dry kale. Like that is the worst. Nobody likes that, and we understand that. So it's creating an experience and in a really positive experience, and taking some familiar foods and changing the ingredients in it so that it's more of a healthful style for it. And if we could do that with so many things. There's so many little ingredients that we could substitute to totally change how your body has the food has an effect on your body, right? I mean, I put ingredients into three classifications. I put it in the bottom classification as those ingredients that have a negative effect on your health.
okay.
And then there's the middle section where they don't hurt you, but they don't have a whole lot to offer for you. And then there's a top tier of ingredients that we know can help improve your health, whether it's an anti-inflammatory, tons of vitamins and minerals, maybe it's got a lot of omegas. There's all those really helpful things. So we stay in the top two categories there just to, work with. And surrounding yourself with great ingredients is a great way to start. So try this at home. First of all, get rid of all the snacks over time, start to bring in some more things that you like and incorporate that. But once you have a kitchen full of good ingredients, you can mix and match, just like I compare it to like having a holiday party and you got all your friends and family in the room, right? There's a crazy uncle, you might want to spend a little bit of time talking to him, but he's still your uncle and you still love him. And then there's the funny cousin over there that you want to hang out with and spend a lot of time with. Just like the ingredients in your kitchen, there's some things that are really beneficial, right? But it could be onions, and if it's date night, then you want to push those onions aside. And if it's tomatoes with a lot of lycopene in it, and you want to add olive oil, and they're in prime season, you can make all those ingredients, the lycopene in the tomatoes more bioavailable, either cook it or add high fat to it, right? And it's a delicious, fun experience. You're not missing out on a single thing. And once your body is full of those nutrients, you quit the cravings. So you're not craving the Oreo cookie anymore. You're craving some grapes and you're craving an orange. You're craving that delicious, ripe, soft mango that's like that deep orange flavor to it, and it just melts in your mouth. That's where your brain goes once you start to clear out those toxins and start to develop this great group of foods that you enjoy.
Well, I remember from the many times I've been to Canyon Ranch that the guests, there are two types of guests. There are the ones who first time there, and the other ones they've been there 10 times.
Mhm.
It's hard to find somebody in between. They tend to come back. And one of the universal things they say is that they can't believe this food that they're eating, as good as it is, actually healthy.
Yeah, yeah, it's delicious. You don't sacrifice an experience.
Yeah,
You eat
I don't
delicious
know.
food, it looks gorgeous, it's bright, it's colorful, it's happy, and you get to have that great experience. And we've created a cool concept, concept for our menus, where we get all these great plant-based ingredients on the top. So you can select your favorite vegetables, your favorite carbohydrates, your potatoes, your black rice risotto, and have those different things. And then you can add protein to it at the bottom. And then every day you can mix and match and try different things. And if you're a creature of habit, then we offer the same thing every day as well. And then the chef also thinks out some composed dishes by combining those ingredients where they feel like is a delicious combination. And so we do that thinking for you, so you can just pick one of those. And those are always rotating too. So we create variety with a lot of different ingredients, and so you never have to have that same repetitious experience.
Unless you're like me and you want the same experience.
Yeah, we offer that
I
too.
tend to find what I like and I eat the same thing over and over and over, but
Yeah.
a lot of people are not like that. Um, so as we're going to wrap this up, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think that's, I really encourage people to be open-minded. And if they're not willing to switch and commit to a plant-based diet, to take the opportunity just to add more plants to their diet. And they'll see over time with the fiber that helps to benefit their microbiome and their gut. You got to keep in mind that that's 70% of your immune system. So with anything else, you're adding more fiber, which is helping to pull out the carbohydrates, the sugar, the processed foods
Which
that
keeps
doesn't
you
get
from getting
absorbed.
diabetes.
Yep, yep. And then it helps regulate your blood sugar, and that's just a big improvement there, just as it is. Protein comes from all sources. I mean, really look at the saturated fats in your diet, and look at the substitutes in a lot of the plant-based foods. Because if you're thinking about a shrimp, it's coming from a konjac root. So you go from a shrimp with protein out of the ocean, and then you get a konjac root shrimp, which doesn't have any protein. So really look at the label on that and just kind of understand what you're consuming and just try different foods. And at first, if you want to season and marinate them to get that flavor right, just do it and make that slow transition. And then once you navigate and have that good feel for recipes and your favorite foods in the plant-based diet lifestyle, then you could, kick out the Impossible Burger that's so high in sodium and saturated fat that's it's even worse than eating a burger from a cow. And there's just a lot out there, and there's so much access now and focus on chefs to adding those plant-based meals to their menu because so many people that market has changed over 600% in just a couple years. So there's more availability to it, and you can stick to that lifestyle because when you go out, you have choices and you have some great choices. So I think that that's really important. And I say that encouragingly because a lot of times, I get a call after people are already sick, they got a diagnosis. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was the person that I'm talking to directly, and they say, "Hey, don't you know something about food that fights cancer?" It's like, "Yeah, but I've been talking
Yeah,
about it for
cabbage,
years."
cabbage, cabbage.
Yeah, it's cabbage, garlic, onions. Those things are like right at the top of the list. And everybody loves food with garlic, onions, and tomatoes, right? Pasta sauce, salsas, like all these great party foods you can make of that stuff. So just don't be fearful, keep it positive. It's great, delicious food.
I agree with you completely. Thank you very much for talking with us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.